Does this thing still work? Do we know how to do this still?
No.
All right, here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand,
Sir Ian Gibson,
Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Thank you for your time and enjoy the show. That was a little soft. I'll do better next week.
Where the bloody hell have you been?
Toilet.
Toilet? What do you mean, toilet?
Hi, and welcome back to the Dialed Podcast. I'm Jake Von Turing. Here with... let's leave that guy for last. I'm here with Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look cellular-tastic today. Cellular-tastic, not FaceTime fantastic, just cellular fantastic.
Nice.
Okay.
The big spoon to his left, Mr. Ian Gibson.
No music?
Sir Ian Gibson.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry about that.
Come on, man. You're getting rusty.
I forgot how to do this. I'm sorry.
So Gibson, back from vacation.
There you go. And last but not least, the one and only Lance friggin' Hepler. What's up, Hep?
Lance friggin' Hepler, I am coming at you over the cellular airwaves from, I don't know where the hell I am, Arizona.
Somewhere in
I
Arizona.
don't know where the hell I am, Arizona. Somewhere Arizona.
Nice. Hey, we got a lot of freaking backpedaling to do, but before we do that, I'm sorry that it's been, 2-3 weeks since we've put out a podcast?
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, these guys have been out playing bikes all over the world. Matt's been busy and I've been busy.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, it feels like it was 5 minutes to me.
I know, it does.
It literally does. But then I'm looking over here at Ian's hand across the table from me, and he looks like he's about 14 shades darker than the last time I saw
noticed.
him.
Yeah, you're looking like you've been,
all
biking.
He's all veiny and tan and looking all svelte. Oh, jeez. Look at you, man. Anyway, let's do some backpedaling. Matt,
I went out on the road a couple times. I went once, I don't remember. Like, we've had some decent weather, actually. Yeah. It's actually nice right now. We should all be biking instead of podcasting, but we can't miss another week of podcasts. But yeah, I've been out a couple times. Nothing crazy. Been feeling decent. I'm still on my dialed 100.
You are?
Whatever. I don't know how many days we are. We've got to be getting close to
60-something.
Yeah, we're getting close to
60-something.
70, I think.
Yeah.
You're on the dial 100,
still
but
on the
you're
dial
not
100.
tracking your days.
No.
So it could be the dial.
No,
By the time you're all done, it
I
could be the
know I
dial
have-
97 or the dial 100.
It could be 145. Yeah, I know I'm biking every day. I just don't know how many days it's been since whatever started. You know, sometimes I'll see someone else on my feed who's also doing the dial 100, and I'll be like, "That's what day it is."
Yeah.
That's how I know. So thank you all who have been doing it, and keep posting those things. Keep posting in your feed so that I can keep track of when it is and which day it is.
Have you
I've been
ridden
doing-
it today?
What?
Have
Have
you ridden-
not ridden yet today.
So when you do your ride today, it'll be ride number 65.
Okay, 65. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there, people. Other than that, I ran this morning, been swimming a little bit. I was actually swimming a little bit more than usual, like twice a week instead of once a week, only because there's a swim meet this weekend. And then I realized that I would have to sign up for like USA Swimming and all this stuff. So I was like, screw that. I prefer running. And so in addition to biking every day, I'm trying to like throw another sport in there. So that's swimming or running. And I prefer running if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's been fun.
Did you already put the buoys out?
The
Or-
buoys. So
Or
there's
did they never get put away?
So yes and no. There are. So I put out buoys basically from whenever we decided it was like April through October.
Yeah.
And that was the deal that I made with the city. Some other swimmers who will go unnamed decided that they want buoys out year round. Not a deal with the city, right? Because like I wanted to be on board and
Sure.
whatever with the rules, follow the rules. And
If
so
for
there
those
are
that are like,
multiple
what-
buoys that are out there in Fallen Leaf Lake,
Exactly.
which is the lake that's close by to us. There's some smaller buoys. The guys that put them out there call it like the winter buoys, but the truth is like we're not supposed to have buoys out there year round.
Unsanctioned, huh?
Unsanctioned. And the funny thing is they swim year round,
I've seen them.
which is insane. Like one of the guys was telling me that he had to like truck down there through the snow to get in the water and go swim. And I was like, dude, that's commitment right there.
Yeah.
I haven't swam open water since like last summer, which makes sense.
Same,
but I only
Matt,
swim. Yeah, Lance.
That's called a psychopath. That's what that
Psychopath.
It's called a psychopath.
Yeah, but I'm kind of jealous if I'm honest, like because it's fun to swim open water, and I think if you continue to gradually keep staying in the water or whatever, like your body does acclimate to the cold weather a little bit. I think if I were to try and do it now, I would die. I would just die.
Yep.
So
my wife went out on New Year's Day and she did the polar plunge there at Fallen Life Lake, and I'm like, yeah, no thanks.
but you just get in and get out.
That's a hard pass. But yeah, exactly. But still,
It's not like you're swimming.
submerging yourself in freaking cold water in January
Cold plunge.
1st. No
Cold
thanks.
plunge, man. That's
No,
like a
thank you.
fitness trend. It's a health fitness trend.
I can relate, right? Lance, one day that hot tub was like 102. It felt
Right.
really cold.
Oh,
like,
jeez.
You're suffering.
Right.
You guys were suffering in the
It was
hot tub.
suffering.
Yeah. Ian, you want to backpedal for us?
how long have you got?
Nah. Highlights,
not
baby.
possible.
Highlights.
Yeah, let me. So
Top three rides.
It's been 3 weeks, right? In brief, then Lance and I were both down in Arizona. We just come off a massive training block, basically. My CTL chronic training load the other day was 119, and I was minus 75 on form. Like we've been hitting it every day, 20
Wow.
days straight of hard riding. So.
Wow.
So did you
Yeah.
have any lull between like your own personal gear up training camp and the actual training camp?
No, because you just
No,
raced
straight
really.
into it.
We just kept riding because
Yeah.
that's pretty much all we had to do.
So you
But-
guys, Tenerife, back, and then you went down to Arizona and you did a
Raced.
couple
so
races.
we were here for a week. We did the last podcast. I drove down to Arizona. We met up just on some random piece of road just east of Phoenix where the time trial for the first race began.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. It was the Valley of the Sun road race.
You had a time trial. How did my wheel? Did you use those?
I did use your wheels.
Are they
yeah.
okay? They hold up. They didn't explode on you.
Yep, they did good. I beat Lance Hepler
Did
by
you really?
0.8 of a second.
Nice.
So
Nice
I
work.
think
You
it
did.
was the wheels.
I lost.
It was the wheels or the skin suit or something. Yeah. Anyway, that was a 3-day stage race. So Valley of the Sun was an awesome event. We did a time trial. We did a 50-mile road race the next day. We did a downtown Fast and Furious criterium. It was great.
How was that? Was it scary?
Yep, it was full on. It was full on. It was intense.
Wow.
So Valley of the Sun. Then we spent a few days riding all around the Phoenix area, and then we went down to Tucson. We started the Tucson Bicycle Classic, which was another 3-day stage race.
Wow.
Starting again with a time trial. This time just a short one, like an Eddie style, 4.5 mile full on time trial, which was
That's cool.
the prologue. Next day was another 60-mile hilly road race, and then followed by a circuit race. It wasn't a criterium; it was a hilly circuit race for
Okay.
just a 30-minute race.
I think I saw
Nice.
footage from Lance
Yeah.
on that one. Looked hard.
and it was hard, but it was great. Like there's so many people there. I can't tell you the scale of these events. It's like nothing you ever see up in
That's
the
cool.
Pacific Northwest.
Besides the weather, what are they doing right that we're not?
We'll talk about this later because
Okay.
this is it's a thing I want to talk about.
Okay, maybe a question for us to use later in a particular topic that we're going to be doing this
Perhaps.
week, maybe?
Yes.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, definitely. It's a massive event, a huge production. The city is involved, the police department's involved. There's people coming from all over the country, like literally hundreds. Probably, I think that Valley of the Sun, right, Lance, was something like 800 people there.
The Valley of the Sun was 1,000, and the Tucson Bicycle Classic was 800.
Yeah. It was amazing. And that includes women's fields that were over 100 deep.
That's
It
so
includes
awesome. Yeah.
juniors fields that were over 100 deep.
Uh-huh.
And get this, the 60-year-olds, the master 60-year-olds, there was 60 plus guys in the
Wow.
field. So it was refreshing. You know, you feel like you're competing with your peers again. You have real competition. Like some of these guys are ex-pros, ex-Olympians.
Wow.
Like, full on, man. Anyway,
Cool.
it was an awesome experience. We rode, quote, casually, unquote, for a few days around Tucson before all the rest of the Dial team showed up. And the Dial training camp, which was for me 6 days of riding, was the normal, you know, basically it's a 6-day stage race with 16 of your closest friends.
How about just a couple highlights from that trip? Like, hey, what did you think about the place where you stayed? It was new to the team. We'd never stayed there before. And you guys had catering. How was that?
Awesome. We all agreed that we need to book this place soon for next year.
So you want to go back to Tucson for 2026?
Personally.
All right.
Yeah. Right, Lance? I mean, it was a great setup, and all kudos to Mr. Hepler there. He got it sorted out.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
And what about the week itself? What was the best ride of the week for you?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
I like day 2. We went out to Colossal Cave and Pistol Hill and that area. That was really cool. We did Mount Lemon again. That was probably my worst day. Had some issues with my Achilles tendon and just generally feeling not so good that day. But probably the highlight was joining on with the Tucson shootout.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Lance and I and who else was a bunch of us jumped in there. We started off in the A group, which was quite possibly 200 people.
God.
It was insane. And as soon as we got through the neutral zone, it took off like you wouldn't believe. So it was a good experience, cool experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was the best ride. I don't know. It depends how you define best. It was the most intense.
There you
hardest.
go.
So, yeah.
Cool.
And then came back, drove home. Took me two long days in the van to get back here, dodging snowstorms, and it's fun. Anyway,
cool.
That's about it in a nutshell.
All right.
Sounds awesome.
I'm sure Mr. Hepler can add to that. It was definitely a joint experience.
Gotcha. Well, we're about 12 minutes into this thing, so let's see here. I don't know, another 20 minutes, and we should get to the show. Lance, you want to backpedal for us?
I'm afraid to start talking because there's so many stories I could tell that it could get ridiculous. Let me just start off by saying, if you want to see footage of any of these days or any of these races or any of the rides that we've done in the last 3 weeks, it's all on YouTube. So you'll be able to see some stuff there if you want to. But this to kind of put the last 3 weeks in perspective, it might be the best 3 weeks of riding and training I've probably ever had in my life. It's been that good. It was so good to be able to share almost all of that with Ian. We've become pretty good, similar training partners and training buddies, and that has just added to how much of all of this has been. So it's been really great. The road stage races, Ian was kind. We got our asses kicked. we both got just kicked in the teeth. The Valley of the Sun stage race, the fields, Ian was in the 60 field, I was in the 50 field. They were open fields, no categories, which meant all the Cat 1, 2s, 3s were all in those categories with us. And so my field was actually combined with the 40-year-olds. So it was all the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds, all these freaking former national champions and Olympians. I'm not kidding. It was nuts. our field, the 40s and 50s were like, it was like 100 people or 110 people total. And I believe I finished, the 50-year-olds, there were like 65 of us, and I finished 21st in GC overall. I got smoked.
But that's not really getting your ass kicked. That's a solid mid-pack finish. I think we belong there. We did it. We finished mid-pack.
You definitely belong there. You definitely belong there. Start with that.
I think getting dropped on the road race made me feel like I did not belong there. I mean, I dug so deep and so hard to try not to get dropped on the road race, and I still got dropped on the road race. So
I did. Let me just say, I didn't get dropped.
Yeah, that's true.
Lance,
You did not get dropped.
Lance, can I ask you a question real quick? Were you carrying
Yeah.
any fatigue into that you were like, I kind of overdid it, like the day before, the week before, the month before, or did you feel pretty solid?
We did train through this. We didn't treat these as A races. These were full on like training experiences.
Sure.
But I don't think that I've held a whole lot of fatigue. My body's been responding really well so far this year to what I've been doing. And so I didn't feel like I was carrying a whole lot of fatigue. What I am carrying is 175 pounds. And when you hit an uphill, a 1.5 or 2 mile uphill section, I just can't stay on with these 140-pound guys that can do the same watts that I can. And so that was kind of the big thing. On the flat course, like when we had a flat criterium, I didn't get dropped. I was able to stay on the flat crit, even though we averaged like 28.4 miles an hour, and it was full gas with attacks and all that stuff. I had a little incident where I ended up on the sidewalk for part of it. You can see that on my YouTube channel. But I mean, I was super pleased that I got through that. So the Valley of the Sun was actually a really good experience. Moving on to Tucson Bicycle Classic, I actually think the Valley of the Sun was organized a little bit better than the Tucson Bicycle Classic.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm still a 4 on the road, so I had to enter the 4-5 race. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be racing with the 4-5s, the category 4-5s. It's also a bunch of juniors. They were going to separate out the 50-year-olds eventually. And I thought, oh, I'll be able to compete. I'll be able to do well here. Well, these are Arizona 4s, and I got my ass kicked again. It was not better. Although on the road race, was it the road race? On the road race, I didn't get dropped in the road race, but I wasn't able to like sprint for anything either. So it was a little pretty intense, and I still ended up mid-pack. I ended up mid-pack in GC for the 4-5s, but I ended up 3rd overall in GC for 50-year-olds. Cat 4 50-year-olds. So that Cat 450. So that, grain of sand there, or, take that for what it's worth. So, but it was great experiences to kind of go through those and to race with a bunch of fast people and to kind of feel how fast a peloton can move and being comfortable riding close to people. There was a big wreck in my 4-5 race that I was able to avoid, luckily. But yeah, it was good experiences. I mean, I enjoyed that I did them. They hurt like hell when I did them, and I suffered immensely at all these races, but that was the point in doing them. So
it kind of gives you faith that road racing is still alive and kicking, right? When, just the scale of those events and seeing how many people were participating, it was a huge deal. So, people say road racing is dropping away. There's no future for it. Or it kind of makes you feel good about it again.
Did they happen to mention how these numbers compared to years past? Are they seeing an uptick? Are they seeing like plateaued, or is it falling off for them as well? I mean, if they're at 1,000 now and they were at 1,500, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, I mean, that would give you some pause for concern, but it sounds like it might be doing just fine down there and maybe even rising.
I can't answer that. Yeah, what do you say, Lance? Do you know?
I think part of the reason is there's not many stage road races left in the U.S. There's only like 7 or 8. and only 4 that are actually UCI races. We talked about that on our last podcast. So there's not many stage road races left. So that's what's attracting people to these. The Valley of the Sun race was one of the races where they had specific junior fields. And so it attracted every junior team in the country was represented. Every team that had like a big junior field that are trying to get points for UCI points or to work up to a World Tour team, they all had people at that Valley of the Sun race. There were 200 juniors racing in that field. So it was, I think that was part of it. And it's kind of billed as if you're a junior road racer, this is the race you don't miss. You need to be at Valley of the Sun. So I think that's part of it. Plus the weather, and plus it's Phoenix, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. So pretty crazy.
Good. Are you going to talk about the very last ride you did?
Oh, you see, I'm not even there. I haven't even talked about training camp.
No.
I mean,
all right. Sorry. Carry on.
yeah. So actually, our training camp ended up really great. For whatever reason, I'm probably as fit as I've been for one of our team training camps, and so I was actually able to mix it up on almost every ride that we were mixing things up. I mean, we did the Mount Lemon ride. It actually was a day I felt pretty good, and I set a 10-minute PR for that 2-hour climb, which is pretty big.
Took 10 minutes off your PR, so you went sub 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's hour 58 or something like that, if I remember right.
I went an hour 58 for the whole 21-mile segment. Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
I took 10 minutes off that, which was kind of amazing. And then a lot of that was because of the people I was riding with and I was able to stay with. I mean, we were able to work together, and that made a big difference. So that was huge. The showing up at the Tucson shootout with 10 of us all in orange kits, and I think 8 of us starting with the A group, but guys, we're just going to hang as long as we can. And Nate Scott and Aaron Sander, they ended up hanging, and Paul First, they all ended up hanging on that A group a little bit longer than I was able to. But that was a race experience with our team that I think was pretty invaluable too, to be a part of a huge ride like the Tucson shootout, where there's 200 people out there, that it's full race pace, full gas, for several different sections, but then you have a chance to regroup and then tear each other's legs off again. That was a fantastic experience. It was very cool. It was extremely difficult, and that was the point in doing it. So it was a pretty cool experience. The rest of the week, we did some other big rides, and I just was still feeling all pretty good. So I was pretty hot and raring and heavy to go, and training camp treated us great. The house was fantastic. The food was beyond our expectations. The whole thing just ended up really good. I'm talking up this training camp like everybody should go on, because I think everybody should go on one. It was really good, although there's limited spots for these things, so that's what makes it difficult. So it was all pretty cool. So
yeah, I mean the house where we stayed they'd hosted other training camps, cycling training camps as well. So it was all set up with, there was all kinds of things there. It's like very friendly for cyclists.
Yeah.
And the catering too was she catered specifically to athletes. So the food was
good, but healthy.
Really good, but very healthy as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Very good.
So what happened the other day, Lance?
Oh yeah, so
one ride too far.
I took a day off, and then we came up to Scottsdale. The Cactus Cup mountain bike race is happening today and tomorrow, although a bunch of the events were canceled today because it's pouring rain in Scottsdale today. Go figure. Yeah. So they actually had to cancel like the short track race and a bunch of the time trials that they were planning on doing because it's raining in Scottsdale today, and they don't know what to do in the rain. It's kind of funny. Anyway, but we came up yesterday, and I just got my mountain bike out to make sure everything was working good, and I did a little pre-ride, And oh my gosh, my legs feel good after this training camp and taking like a day and a half off. And so I'm really excited, and I'm pushing around some corners, and I don't know what the hell happened. I think my rear tire slid, lost traction, and then I pedal struck in the midst of that. And I just went right over the side of the bike, landed right on my back and my head, and destroyed a helmet. Yeah, I destroyed a helmet. I think I carry my flat kit in my middle pocket, in my jersey middle pocket, and I landed right on that. And it caused like a dinner plate sized contusion on the small of my back.
How's is your head feeling okay?
Yeah, my head was totally fine. I knew that I hit my helmet, but I didn't realize I had cracked it. I didn't lose consciousness. I felt like I was okay. If you watch the YouTube video, you can hear me like wheezing like somebody who has just had the wind knocked out of them, because that's exactly what happened.
I was going to say, did you get the wind knocked out of it? Because that's what you sounded like, a person that's trying to get that going again.
I cut out the noise of me cussing like a little schoolgirl because it sounded so bad.
I was waiting.
It was so scary.
I was waiting for ice cream sandwiches, man. What happened?
I was trying to like edit it quickly. I didn't want to add a bunch of other crap in there.
Ice cream sandwich.
There were many F-bombs that were dropped as I was trying to like come to terms with what just happened, because I couldn't, because it happened so quickly. I wasn't sure exactly what happened, but
yeah, there was that scary moment of assessment when you quickly trying to figure out how badly you're broken and how badly your bike is broken. Right.
So I stood up and realized, oh, I'm okay. I'm actually not even bleeding anywhere. I didn't even cut anything, but I had this huge contusion on my back, and that's enough for me not to race, to just pull myself out of this. Which is not a decision I take lightly, especially at how freaking expensive this race was to register for. But and then this morning when I woke up, I discovered all the ribs that I bruised, and I didn't realize I had done yesterday.
None are broken though, yeah.
I don't think anything's broken.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything's broken, but like I've been fighting a cold. I did my immune system a number with all this training and racing, and so I caught a cold. And so the coughing and the bruised ribs are not a good combination. I need heavy drugs. Somebody please send them.
Are you going to take a little tiny breather break to let your body come back around, or?
I have to. Yes, I am. I mean, the intention was to do this race tomorrow. I thought I had a shot at actually winning my category, even though I registered as an elite this time. Not an elite, but as a Cat 1 racer in my age group, and I thought I had a shot at winning it. That's kind of how good I felt, but I'm not doing this race. My next race is actually next Saturday, and I'm just going to rest probably until that race, which is next Saturday. And hopefully I'll be good enough to go. So that's the deal.
Cool. You done?
That's it. Yeah, I guess I'm done. Was it 20 minutes, Jake? That's
solid 20 minutes.
That was 15 or 10. I don't know, but not bad, dude. Good job.
Jake, backpedal.
Thank you.
I don't know. Lance, get yourself healthy. I don't want you to like get hurt and all of a sudden like miss like 3 weeks and lose all that training that you just, diligently went out there and
me neither.
Crushed. So
Jake, I saw you online on Zwift like one day. I don't remember which day it was.
You did?
Totally random. And I rode with you for a little bit and tried to ride in front of you so that you could see that my name, name tag on Zwift or whatever.
Really?
And then I couldn't hang with you very long, so I dropped.
I didn't even notice you.
No. I'm sure you're like watching a show or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you're zoned out.
I might have had my head down.
You're probably pushing like 400 watts, zone 2, and then just pulled away from me.
I wonder if you caught me on the day that I was doing my shorter intervals. No?
I don't think you were going that hard, but it was like, you were doing, 200 and something. And
interesting.
That was about, yeah.
Well, I guess over the last 3 weeks, I rode, if it's been exactly 3 weeks, 27 times. So I've been maintaining my 6 days a week. I'm at about 9 hours a week on the trainer. So that's like riding 35 hours a week outside, right?
Something like that.
I don't know if that math was perfect, but
it's definitely a factor of something, because 9 hours on the trainer sucks, and doing that week over week has been kind of crappy. But I am ready to ride outside. I just need to get my bike set up so I can do that and have it sync up with some good weather and go do the bike stuff outside. And with the time changes coming this weekend, we'll have a lot more opportunities. So. And I'm stoked about the fact that we're going to
This is what you've been waiting for, this time change.
Oh, yeah, every single year.
Every year.
Every year. And that means that the weekly rides start coming back.
Sun will be out in the evenings for a little bit longer for us.
Yeah.
It's huge.
But yeah, I've just been getting my rides in and feeling pretty stinking good. I've been doing structured work. I've been, piling up on the Zone 2 stuff, and my, the watts that I'm holding for those Zone 2 have been slowly creeping up, which is good. I'm feeling that. And I've actually had a few rides where I've ridden for 2.5 hours, and I only got off because I had other things to do. It's not because I wanted to get off because I was dying. I was like, I feel pretty good. I could ride for another half an hour or 45 minutes if I wanted to, but I just didn't have the time.
We need to go for a lunch ride sometime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yep, all that's going well. I've got some structure in there. I'm doing short and long and medium intervals and everything else in between. So yeah,
we need to bring back the post podcast rides this summer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a for sure thing. So, all right. Enough of me talking about Zwift, because that's what everybody wants to listen to. Hey, we're going to punt on the whole Champ Bailey lead out news thing, so we can do that maybe next week, because everybody's been all over the place. He's on vacation?
He's on injured reserve.
But I do want to say that it makes me super happy when I do get on the trainer and I see that, road racing's been back for quite a few weeks now. And, you had like the tour of, the UAE tour and a few other, Oman and
Algarve.
They've
Spring Classics will be coming up here soon.
Yeah. So you got Strada Bianchi coming up this weekend. So it's definitely there. And there's nothing like watching some of that racing, or even just the longer recaps when you're on the trainer, because it just gets you pumped up. So tune into that stuff and get yourself caught up, because it's fun and it's going to be a fun season. So we'll do Champ Bailey stuff next week, but let's move on real quick.
I did it with nothing but my own blood, sweat, and tears, and extra blood.
People dope. Yeah. This is a sport with literally hundreds of dollars on the line and dozens of fans. The stakes are medium.
Come on. How do you beat a man on drugs if you're not on drugs?
Wait, did you just admit to being on drugs?
The EPO Chain Mail. Send us a text with your questions. Forward this podcast to 15 people, and you'll lose 10 pounds overnight without even trying.
You've got mail.
Obviously, I haven't had a chance to shorten that up, so I hope you like the long version of that. All right, we've got a few questions that have come through from several different folks. First one comes to us from Los Angeles, California, and this is a question that kind of is talking about the AI training. So basically, they're asking, we have a lot of options today from AI training. So, use your whatever training platform. They're just about all offering something to some degree. There's also structured training plans that are more fixed. What's the best training strategy, sans a coach, for moderately trained, time-crunched athletes that want to show steady progress? Do you guys have any input there?
Well, what I'm going to say is, why sans a coach, right?
Well,
it must be
it's probably a financial thing.
Thing, I would guess.
Trainer Road, I think, probably is one of the best options for potential. I mean, I'm not saying that their AI system is like the absolute best, but I do think that they do a good job with it, and they have a lot of data that they're leaning on to generate some of their training programs. So they also just announced, I didn't think about this, but they just announced this partnership. It's not really a partnership, but this integration with Zwift, so that it's a little bit easier for you to pull in those workouts into Zwift. Mm-hmm. That's brand new as of sometime in the past week or two. I don't want to give you an exact date, but it's very, very recent that you're allowed to do that. So,
gotcha.
Lance will probably chime in on pricing of Trainer Road, but it's probably not the cheapest thing, especially if you're combining it with the Zwift or whatever, but it's a good option.
The question kept going. I needed to scroll up to see the whole thing. No, that was my fault. I didn't scroll. It said, the person finished by saying, if it's some AI-driven approach, which do you prefer? Is it a wash, e.g. use what you got, or is there a clear winner? I'm planning on getting a sports-specific coach in the next 6 months, but the planning out the training arc is something I just don't have the time to do. They just want us to make it easy for them. So that's...
Oh, sounds like they maybe want more of like a program put together as opposed to like specific workouts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could kind of couple the two things together. So
you could just go on any AI system. You don't have to pay a dime for it, and have it generate you like a 6-week program until you're ready to bring in a coach.
Yeah,
and then because you could even say like, I'm going to have a coach at a certain point. I'm guessing that you could even say something like within the AI, like I want to focus on endurance, that sort of thing, so that when you do have a coach that can do some more refining, my guess would be that coach would be like, okay, it looks like you've been doing some decent base work here. Let's work on refining where you're at, and then, applying it more towards the specific race goals that you have. So
yeah, I think all of them are going to provide a pretty good structured program. I mean, some of them are going to be very heavy on the sweet spot stuff. Some might be a little bit more polarized, and not for nothing, different people respond differently. Like Lance loves himself some sweet spot stuff. I personally don't like that. I respond much better to something that's more polarized, and I think that I get better benefits from it, and I don't carry as much fatigue, and I feel like I'm fresher and stronger when it comes event time. Yeah. Lance is going to be very different than that. So,
a good approach would be to go to Training Peaks, to their Training Peaks store, and browse buy
a little something from there.
Yeah. They have plans. A lot of coaches have uploaded plans. They're not interactive, but you might find something that suits what you want to do, what your goal events are, or your style of training. You can browse through them, and a lot of those plans, you're looking at 10 weeks, say a 10-week FTP builder, and $30-$40, for the whole thing. It's pretty good. And then if you're thinking about working with a coach in the future, maybe check out that coach's plans and
that's a good way to kind of see if you like the coach.
See if you like the coach.
That's
see their style of training.
Yeah. And another thing, real quick, to add to this is like any of these programs for your average cyclist that's, say, just a novice, or maybe like your weekend warrior, or you're more enthusiast, like what would you call us? I don't know. We're definitely like amateurs at best, but we're not going to be these guys that are trying to go from 5.7 watts per kilogram to 5.9 watts per kilogram.
Right.
Like we're not at that echelon, and those guys are going to need some stuff that's very specific. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that pretty much anything you follow is going to give you results. You just have to find something that's going to work well for you, and not hurt yourself and not overdo it.
Yeah, true. As you get fitter, the gains get smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. So if you're starting from quite low down on the spectrum, I guess you're gonna make fitness gains whatever way you approach it.
Yeah, I guess my only recommendation to add to that would be, though, is if you are going to do something where it's just kind of like, all right, let's try this. Take into consideration if you're going to be getting ready for an event, and make sure that you reverse engineer it so that you go into that event as fresh and strong as you possibly can.
Start with the end in mind. Usually that's what I do when I make a training program. It's like, here is the date of the race, and then you can work back from that really easily, where you have peak mileage, certain time frames, or you have that the week before the race is probably going to be a bit of a taper, or maybe 2 weeks before the race, depends on kind of the event itself. So definitely work backwards.
Mm-hmm. And I think most of the training plans on offer in the Training Peaks store are tailored to specific event types. Like you might have a 10-week road race, 10-week 100-mile road race preparation plan, or a criterium, or 16-week 2-hour mountain bike race prep plan, something like that. So shop around.
We don't have a ton of details on what you're specifically training for, but definitely keep that in mind.
Yep. Lance, do you have anything to add to that?
All right, Lance, moving right along. Good job on keeping it short, Lance.
I wonder if he put us on hold to go potty, or he's got a back issue. But all right, let's move on to the next question. And this question,
wait, no, I am here. I had put myself on mute for the potty. So hold on, I've got a lot of thoughts on the comment. So
he pinched it off and he's ready to go, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. first off, in full disclosure, Coach Ian Gibson has several plans for sale on Training Peaks that he has devised himself. Plus, he's probably the most cost-effective bang for your buck personal coach you could probably find. So
thank you, sir.
that's just a little thing for Coach Ian Gibson.
Checks in the mail,
I've had
Lance.
experience both. Yeah, all right. I've had experience both with Trainer Road and with Coach Cat. So they're both similar AI-driven coaching platforms, and they both have a feature nowadays where you can put in a specific event and it will backfill the entire a training plan for you for that specific event. You just have to know what your specific event you want is your A race for the year. Those systems don't work very well for me because I race 40 times a year. And so picking A races is actually really difficult for me. So, but if you know specifically what race you're going to do, it will backfill your entire like training leading up to that, so that both Coach Cat will do that and Trainer Road will do that. So they both will help out quite a bit. So that's my thought. Which one's better than the other? I don't know. Trainer Road is like $24 a month, and Coach Cat is actually very similar, but I'm paying like $15 a month for Coach Cat because I bought during like Black Friday when it was half price. So that's why I'm still using Coach Cat. But they both will give you like a green or a yellow or a red, like this is what you look like today, like how you should be training today. They both can change your workout for the day on the fly through AI. So like you can say, hey, I'm not feeling that good. Can you adjust that workout so it's just a bit easier? And they'll change it for you and put it right into your program really easy. So they both do that. And they both integrate with Zwift now, although the Trainer Road Zwift looks pretty unique. It will actually recommend Zwift workouts for you every single day you log on if you have an annual plan with Trainer Road. That's my take on those. So
cool. Good info. All right, here's the next question. I actually kind of really like this one because it's making me think, and I don't know if I have an answer for it. Coming to us from Portland, Oregon. With all of the advancements in bike tech, what old tech do you keep around despite newer or higher end alternative new tech stuff? Anything that's old school that you keep around in favor of the new school, new tech, high tech stuff? That was a good question, and I'm kind of like racking my brain, going from head to toe, and then thinking about from front to back of my bike. I'm like, there's not much that I can say that I've kept. The only thing that I would want to keep, which we're kind of coming back that direction, is getting away from those freaking press fit bottom brackets. Like that was the tech for a long time, and I've hated them ever since they came out. I've hated them. And I would much rather stay with an older, threaded bottom bracket. That works great for me. But now that we're coming back to like the T47 threaded stuff that, kind of gets away from that press fit stuff, that kind of makes that null and void.
Go ahead.
I've got a specific bike that I ride in the winter, my rain bike. It's got fenders on it. It's still carbon fiber. It's it's reasonable bike.
Pinarello?
No.
Okay.
It's like a no-name brand carbon fiber frame. I think I bought it from Bike Nash Bahar a few years ago. Yeah. But anyway, what I like about it is it's still got mechanical shifting. Mm-hmm. And sure, my race bike is all electronic. My gravel bike is electronic, and that's great. But there's something really cool still about the simplicity of a mechanically shifted bike. Once you get it adjusted right, the main thing is the beauty for me is I don't have to think about freaking charging my batteries. Mm-hmm. Like I count the batteries on my BMC. I've got 2 in the handlebar shifters, 1 each in each derailleur. I've got a
power meter battery.
I've got a battery I need to be concerned about on my head unit. I've got a battery on my radar.
Oh my God.
Heart rate monitor.
Yeah, heart rate monitor, all that stuff. It's like on any given rides, I'm going to be out of a battery somewhere.
Sure.
But I jump on my rain bike, and it's kind of refreshing just to get on it and ride, and it's just a little more clunky, but
there's something cool. There. I agree with you. There's something nice about just be like, I pull this cable, and this thing shifts. It's just simple.
Yeah.
Like there's real value there, I think.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. How about you, Hep?
A derailleur hanger straightener. That's about as old school as you get, and I don't think I can do away with the derailleur hanger straight. Obviously, I've been too many derailleur hangers, but that's a piece of tech
slowly
I'm
but
always gonna
surely going the way of the universal.
Oh yeah, that will be something I'm excited about.
Yeah, cool. Anything else from you, Matt? What did you say?
Nothing super technical. I mean, I'm. If you guys have followed this podcast for a long time, you know that I'm quick to jump on latest tech stuff because that's the game that I like to play.
Sure.
But you know what? Like there's old saddles that just fit just right that you don't like that just work.
Yeah.
And I'm not big on changing out saddles. And I think I'm one of the, maybe Lance is one of these people too, but like one of those people that I can handle a lot of different saddles. Like I'm pretty happy. Like you throw any saddle on, I feel like I can go out and do an hour and not have problems. But man, there's just some like the old stuff that you've used for a long time. You're like, oh, this
It's
is
like an old
great.
pair of shoes that's just like nice and
like this thing
worked
works.
in, yeah. I used the same saddle for probably 10 years, and there was new saddles that are always coming out and try this, try that. And I recently switched last year and tried one of the 3D printed physique saddles.
Okay.
I really like that saddle.
Yeah.
And that stayed on my bike. But I still love my old saddle. And so what I did with my old saddle is I put it on the trainer.
Yeah, there you go.
And
that's kind of where I'm at too.
It's kind of nice stuff. So yeah, cool. All right, ready for the next question?
Yep.
I have a week-long bike trip coming up with some of my buddies, and we will be in much warmer weather, much warmer climate than he's normally used to riding and training in. Aside from stocking up on the sunscreen, what are some things to consider when jumping from cold to hot weather riding? And I figured this was timely. You two jokers just got back from many, many weeks of riding in nice weather. What's the pro tip from you?
Probably drink 10x what you're used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about hydration. I think that's the most important thing.
Sure.
For sure. But aside from that, I mean, you just acclimate after a while. But it's a shock to the system when you first get down there and it's super hot.
Yeah.
And it does take it out of you physically a lot more than you used to. But hydration and nutrition, keeping your calories up.
Yeah. And for me too, I've found in years past, there are certain base layer pieces that you can wear. You think, I'm putting on more clothes, it's going to make me hotter. But there's actually certain base layer pieces that actually will kind of retain a little bit of that sweat, if you will.
Yeah.
And that evaporative cooling actually helps keep you a little bit cooler. And it can actually provide a little bit of UV protection as well. Because a lot of these race jerseys, the really thin and lightweight ones, they're not impermeable to UV rays, and so you still can get burned. You can still get like excessive exposure, so it kind of helps block some of that out.
I don't know where they're going in for a hotter climate, but when we were in Arizona, the surprising thing was how cold it was. So,
really?
Some of those races started super early in the morning, and it was freezing, and so you had to endure
45.
You had to endure an hour of just being cold as hell because you knew that as soon as the sun came out, it was going to warm up quickly. So just having that.
Were you wearing a vest that you could take off and put in a jersey pocket?
Dude, I was warming up on the rollers with my down jacket on in the morning. But then when I rolled up to the start line, I just sucked it up because I knew I did not want to overdress. Right, I would rather be cold for a little while and then be right for the actual event.
It wasn't a 2017 Kings Valley moment.
I would take being too hot over too cold.
Yeah,
out on the bike.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Lance, you bounce between climates often, and you're always having to pack for all different sorts of climates. But you probably see more variances than anybody I know. I mean, what are some pro tips that you have?
One of the things that I've figured out about myself is there's certain nutritional items that I prefer and certain electrolyte mixes that I prefer. And so like on this last trip, I stocked up on those before I left so I could take them all with me. But I had the electrolyte mix that I liked and I had it with me and I still ran out. Ian kind of did the same thing where the last like 4 days, Ian had to like Amazon stuff to the house we were staying at because we ran out of the nutrition that we prefer while we were there, because we were just riding and racing every day. We weren't going to the bike shops and perusing their racks of nutritional stuff. So knowing what you like and making sure you have enough for you for the rest. And I took enough that I thought I had enough, and I still ran out. So
bummer.
But yeah,
that's part of it.
Staying hydrated, staying up on your electrolytes.
Sure.
For sure. That's, I mean, it sounds obvious. But.
Gotcha. All right. Let's move on to the next question. The new Silka Ultimate Sealant. How stoked are you? Is there an argument for tubes anymore? You guys have any input?
That stuff looks really freaking awesome. The beauty of this new sealant coming out is that it's supposed to plug even larger hole diameter issues with your tires without plugging up your valve core.
Correct.
If that actually is true, if that's true, this is like a game over for tubes. I honestly believe that.
There's a few more things to add to this stuff too that make it really cool. The first go round of the stuff was actually really quite good. And they use this stuff called fiberform in there. So just think of like long shredded strands of like carbon fiber that's intermixed with the sealant. And it works really well for plugging up the holes. However, you have to actually break the seal and pour it in. You cannot put it in straight through the valve core. And then the other issue that people were having as well is that it would work its way up into the valve core and it would actually plug those up to a degree.
Clog it.
And the core itself would just completely get gunked up. The valve stem would get gunked up. And it was just kind of a hassle. And then you had to use a special thing called a replenisher that you could put down the valve, but people didn't want to have to buy replenisher and sealant. And it was just, it was good. It was just a little bit more like, I don't know, involved, a little bit more work. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the new stuff, they've kind of re-engineered it. They're calling it the version 2, and the fiberform is still in there, but it's in a much smaller form factor now. And it still has the ability to create these little mesh, coagulations, if you will, that will puncture the seal of punctures. And they're showing that it's actually sealing punctures up to 6 millimeters in diameter, almost 100% of the time.
6 millimeters?
6 millimeters. And they were taking multiple kinds of tires, like mountain bike and gravel and road tires. And of course, like a gravel bike or even a mountain bike for that matter is going to do much better because it's got lower tire pressure and it's going to seal up quicker versus like a, road tire is going to have significantly more tire pressure in there. So the chances of losing a little bit of air is, pretty much a higher likelihood. However, it was still sealing it at a rate that like trumped everybody else. It was one of those things that the other sealants just could not hold a candle to these guys.
And you can still put it in through the valve stem.
And you can put it in through the valve stem or through the
That's
valve.
huge.
Yeah.
Let me ask the Silka question.
Go.
How much is it going to cost me? Is it like 5x the other?
I'd have to go double check. And it's kind of funny that this question comes up. We literally, I think it was this morning,
You just got it in?
It finally arrived. We ordered this stuff a couple weeks ago and it was supposed to be here, but their inventory stuff was kind of off.
Maybe I should put it in my mountain bike.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was much more than what they were charging before. It was a touch more for the older stuff. So if you're buying like orange seal, and let's say you're getting like an 8-ounce bottle, it might cost you $10 or $15, and the Silka was like $18. It was a couple bucks more, but if you ask me, I think it worked a little bit better. But this new
stuff is so good.
It's good.
They do a great job.
Here's the thing that I absolutely love about it, though. Aside from all that stuff, you can put your sealant in there, and there's a really good chance that you don't have to put more in for the rest of the year. They're saying that you
doesn't
can
like get old and
no.
What do they call those? Like
drying up.
What do they call those? Like rats?
The boogers.
Boogers.
Yeah, the Stan's boogers.
Yeah.
So it's not drying
Sealant
up.
rats. I think I've heard something like that.
Yeah, it's lasting for up to a year.
Wow. That's
Whereas
crazy.
most other sealants, you're having to top them off every 2, 3, 4 months.
Right.
And that
some
becomes
of us don't take care of our bikes as well as we should.
So I really like the notion behind this. And yeah, it very well could be a tube killer. It will be going in all of my bikes. And I definitely will be trying it out.
Is a tube killer. I think tubes are already becoming a thing that we're like, oh, I couldn't get this filled or whatever it is. You switch to tube. And that's it. That's all we use tubes for. We're not like going around using tubes.
Yeah. And there's still a ton of people that use tubes. I can't tell you how many tubes we sell at the lab. It's kind of crazy, but just there's so many people that are just scared of the whole notion of what tubeless is. But, to each their own.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What do you think?
Question. Good question.
Lent, you stoked on this stuff?
Yeah, I'm completely stoked on it. I'm gonna buy a vat of it and bathe in it. I'm so happy.
Okay.
About it.
All right. The last person comes to us from Connecticut. So the question was, there's a couple things that they posted here. They're not all questions. Oh, that was nice. Missing the podcast. Hope all is well and you guys are all not frozen. Yeah, we're still here. We're still alive.
Sun's coming out.
All right. The last one is the team camp looks like a lot of fun. I'm guessing they were watching your videos, Lance. It's also very expensive. What would you say is a reasonable price for a week camp? What is the minimum you would expect from a camp? How would you do it right on a tight budget?
You guys did a very nice place to stay and food. That must have been expensive. You guys want to divulge the price of the training camp?
People are not going to be happy when they hear this.
Okay, let's hear it.
Price of both accommodations and dinners for 7 days, 6 nights was $420
per person. That's absurd.
So cheap.
You can't even freaking stay at a Holiday Inn and eat at freaking McDonald's for that much money over that same period of time.
No, and part of that was because of the Place Ranch, the place we found. It's there's a sliding scale with that place, and so
I would have guessed like 10x that. That's what's so crazy about it.
So usually a training camp, our team training camps, we've tried to keep the costs under $1,000 per participant, including your airfare and your rental car portion that you pay for. So we've tried to keep it under $1,000. But we are a cycling team where we're not trying to make money from training camps. If you go to like another training camp that has a coach and has rides and has meals, it's going to cost you like $3,000 for the week. So somewhere between $2,500 and $4,500 is what another like professional training camp would cost you. Ours are cheaper because this is our own personal team and we're not trying to make money. We're trying to keep costs down as much as possible. So,
okay. Does that answer the question or not really?
Sorta. I mean, years past, I mean, for us to go to Southern California, you're going to be paying what, $300-ish for a plane ticket. You're going to be chipping in a couple $100 for a rental car. The cost of the house is going to be another $500 or $600. Then you got to factor in all of the food on top of that, and depending on how much you eat, you're probably looking at least another $100 to $200. I mean, it really starts to add up. So the fact that you guys were able to do this on a much tighter amount of money or budget, if you will, that's fantastic.
Pretty amazing.
I mean, you can definitely do it less expensive. I mean, if you're, if you've got a van for something, not everybody has a van, but you could take a van and you don't have to worry about paying for like hotels or VBROs or whatever, Airbnbs. You can stay at hotels that are cheap and try and come up with a plan for eating. I mean, it's any way you shake it. I think you're looking at probably about $1,000 to $2,000, depending upon where you go and how long you stay there. And
it all adds up. I mean, some of that stuff, the food and whatnot, you would be consuming anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, airfare and accommodation, basically. Another thing you could do would be splurge a little bit more on airfare, but then save a whole ton of money and go to somewhere like Tenerife for a week, where once you get there, you're basically spending nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Food included, coffee stops out on the road for less than $2. So
sure,
that's one idea.
Yeah, if you can stay somewhat local and your weather's conducive to that too. I mean, for us here, I mean, we could leave the greater Portland area and go east to like the Dalles or somewhere where it's not nearly as rainy, and you could go stay out there and you can get some sweet gravel camps out there. And God, that's a destination for a lot of people across the country that would love to come here and do that. I mean, that's a different way that we can skin that cat.
True, but it comes to February and
you just want to go get some warm weather.
If it's within your budget, it's so worth it. It's a great thing to get away. If you live in a temperate climate like the Pacific Northwest, where it's cold, it's rainy, you don't even feel like riding your bike outdoors, you spend hours and hours on Zwift, it's so worth it to get out and feel that sun on your face again for a few days. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, definitely put a price on it, but if you can afford it, it's
Yeah.
Worthwhile.
Just save up too. You have 52 weeks a year that you can throw a few bucks in the piggy bank to do this. Just throw $20 a week in there, and then that'll add up, and you can take that and go do something cool.
The other cool thing is you end up hanging out with your teammates.
Yeah.
So you get to know them. You sit around and you can talk. Like normally you meet up with your teammates and you go for a ride and you. I don't know if everybody's like dial cycling, but we always, try to pull each other's legs off and you basically have very little time to actually communicate with the people you ride with. But it's nice. It's a good social bonding experience.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's put a pin in that and say that's done for this week and bring it back next week. That was a bunch of good questions. I appreciate those and send more the merrier. Yes. They're fantastic. We do have a little bit of time left. Matt, you've got to get out of here somewhat soon. So I think we've got just enough time to do this.
So hot. You got to listen naked.
Boys, we got the hot seat. It's been a minute. Let's do the hot seat. Who would like to go first? I can go first, unless you got something. Or you usually go first, but I'll go first this week.
No, doesn't matter.
Strada Bianchi is this weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Who not named Tadej Pogacar is going to win the Strada Bianchi? Do you guys want to throw any names out there that you might think could do well? Do you guys want me to give you a few names?
I think
I want to see who's in it.
Huh?
Pitcock.
Vanderpool's not racing, but Pidcock is, right? Vanderpool's not in, but Pidcock is.
Correct. So you've got Tadej Pogacar, you got Mark Hirschi, Pidcock, Mikel Landa.
Is Wout racing?
I thought he was, but I don't think he is. He's not. According to this, he's not going to be there. So, you've got some decent names. You've got a few guys that are actually looking pretty good early on. I don't know if you guys caught any of the races with Pidcock when he was racing out there in the desert somewhere and crazy crosswinds and just riding away from people, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
He looks.
How can anybody ride away from Pog though? I don't know how you can be that man in a race like that.
Yeah,
it's just
it'll be interesting to see. So, I think my hot seat question is just gonna be dead here, but it'll be interesting to see how Tadej does in total for the whole like spring classic season.
Right.
His team is looking on point right now. They're all looking strong. They're all representing themselves well. And watching Tadej like mix it up in sprint finishes, I'm like, dude, what's going on here? He's looking pretty.
I think Strada Bianchi is definitely his race to lose. I think he will lose out on Milan San Remo.
That's the one that he wants. He hasn't gotten yet, right?
I don't think he. I don't think he can do it. But.
You think that the hill that's in there is just? Well, is that the one with the hill that's kind of towards the end?
It's too easy. The hill's too easy though.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not as much of a separation.
It's a short one.
Yeah, just looking at the starting list, I mean, there's a lot of big names there, but there's nobody that sticks out. I mean, Tadej's a sore thumb in comparison to everybody else here, but
what about Hirschi? Someone like that?
He's ranked number 2.
He's an American, right?
No, he's Swiss. He's actually on a new team. He was on UAE. Gosh, it was right when Tadej was coming out, if I'm not mistaken. He's on the Tudor Pro cycling team now.
This is Strada still, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then you've got Magnus Cort. He's looking pretty strong this year as well. He's, I think, won a stage or two, and God, he can sprint. You got Gadu, you've got Pelle Babel, you got Thomas Schoons. There's some big names in there. There's nobody can be Tadej.
I think Pidcock stands a chance because he's got the bike handling skills to run away from all of those guys, including Pog on the downhill sections.
True. Yeah.
So he could do that again. And if he gets a big enough gap, then even Pog may not.
I would love to see that. However, he does not have Tadej's team. His team right now looks, they're on point.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
It'll
be fun to watch.
This is going to be one of those where he's going to call a shot. Here's where I'm going to take the lead. And he just does it. And it's just.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Lance, you got any favorites in this?
It's just so hard to bet against Pogacar. So, I mean, he held like 360 watts for 80 kilometers last year when he attacked.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you bet against him.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's why we watched the race. All right. That was my hot seat question. Moving on. Matt.
My hot seat question will piggyback on yours.
Okay.
Because I had a similar question. My original question was, who do you guys think looks good for like overall for the spring classics? The second step, I'm only allowed one hot seat question, but the second part of my hot seat question is what Americans are going to do well in the spring classics?
Ooh, you know who looked good the other day? Oh God, the EF Foundation American. Drawing a blank on his name.
Okay, come back to that.
I'll come back to it. But Magnus Sheffield also looked pretty good.
Sheffield,
So he's
Powell.
Huh?
Nielsen Powell.
Nielsen Powell, thank you. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He was in a good position. He was holding on, rubber banding off on this stage. I don't even remember what race it was, and I thought he was going to be able to get in there because I think he was probably the stronger sprinter, but he ended up getting fourth. But he still was right there, and he looked really good. So,
Overall, anyone else? Pogacar's going
Americans?
to have a good. Well, I meant like overall non-Americans.
Well,
in addition, Pogacar's going to have a good spring classics. We think.
Yeah, Vanderpool
MVP. We think is going to have.
He's looking pretty on point. I mean, he came out and did his first race and just like easily walked away at the end. I mean, he just rode everybody off his wheel and had a commanding lead.
I wonder if they're going to look at the races and pick like, okay, the Milan-San Remo for MVP, right? Like that course suits him a little bit better. Where
you know who I'm concerned about a little bit is Wout. He looks strong. He almost looks like he's the races that he's been in. He looked like he was just there for training, but he almost looked like he was a little bit like skittish, a little bit nervous, and he's had a lot of crashes in the last year.
Rough past 2 years. Yeah.
That I think is one of those things where he might be inside his own head a little bit right now. He just didn't look like the Wout that we've all come to know and love. Just my 2 cents, though. But Pidcock, he's another one that I have like with the new team, with the new attitude, they're rallying around him. He's rallying around them. They're all working together pretty well. It's a small team.
It'll be interesting to see if he has people on his team to work with.
Yeah, we'll see.
As we move forward.
Yeah.
Next hot seat question. We got to move fast. Who's
well,
next?
I don't know if this is a fast one.
Okay.
Let me see. We just finished the Valley of the Sun and Tucson Bicycle Classic, which were immensely well attended. Is it possible? Could we ever see anything on that scale here in the Pacific Northwest or in the Portland area? How would that happen?
Great question. I think you got to rally I kind of feel like you need to lean on the cyclocross community and like rally that group into doing something where it's like, hey, cyclocross season is coming up and we all do this same thing. We all do it. And it's like the big end of summer event or whatever it is, right? Where it's like something like that, where you kind of can rally more people, just because when you're talking about the same numbers that you guys saw, like 1,000 people or whatever, like those numbers are massive when it comes to like our community. So I think it has to rally multiple groups.
There have been a lot of big stage races up here. You've got Walla Walla, you've got Tour de Dong, you've got Cascade, you've got Baker. I mean, those are all the kind of storied, long-running stage races.
The problem is with all of those is they're quite remote. Like Baker City has been going for years, like you said, and I think the attendance has been going down. I think they had less than 300 people last year.
Sure.
I don't know that for sure, but it's a long drive from anywhere to get there. So if you could bring an event, let's say a road event, 3 stages to the Portland area or Seattle, how would you do it? Could that be a success?
The very first thing that you need to do is you need to get the local municipalities on your side. And that's probably the biggest obstacle because of all of the roadblocks that they put up, and then they make it cost prohibitive. And then, the amount of money that you have to go spend on like flaggers and porta potties and being able to close down roads. I mean, they just nickel and dime you to death. So as a promoter, you're like, why am I going to do this? Why am I going to roll the dice and try and build this big grand event where I don't even know if I'm going to make money? And then if I do make money, is it worth the millions of hours that I've got to invest in this thing just to make it work?
Here's my secret suggestion for some race promoter. You tie it in with another large event that's already going on in Portland, especially if you're doing a stage race where you have like, let's say you have some part of it where you want to do like a crit in downtown Portland, and you do it the exact same time as like the Portland Marathon. So Portland Marathon takes, for the top runners, 2 hours and a little bit of change for them to finish, right? So you guys could start a 1 hour race prior to that, have it downtown. It's already roped off. You already have police. You have, like places to keep people from coming onto the road. You have all the stuff in place.
Yeah.
And even more importantly, you've got thousands of people that are there to watch their loved one finish. So you have more spectators than you ever would possibly get. And you've got the city on board for that particular time frame of shutting down the city.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got, from a promotional standpoint, you've got downtown Portland, you've got spectators that are going to be watching you race. You've got all of this momentum for like building up the event and building up the advertisements for the event. And you have, and for me, I think that attracts cyclists to come do it because, man, this is going to be like the showcase event. Then you take the next two pieces of this, staged race, whether that's like more of an endurance thing, I don't know, maybe it's a TT thing, and you move it away from downtown Portland because you're not going to have the same setup, and maybe you can get some sort of discounted rates for things. But you have more people because you have this first initial part of the stage that's in downtown Portland. You got all the crowds and all that stuff, and you say like, okay, well, that was stage 1, and you have stage 2 and stage 3 that are cheaper to put on. Mm-hmm. In a slightly different location, right? You're not doing downtown Portland 3 days in a row. The city's not going to go for that. But you can kind of tie your own cycling traffic or whatever it is. Like you have your numbers, and you kind of say, okay, you just need to finish out the stage, day 2, day 3.
Sure.
So something like that, I think could put a dent. I don't know that you're going to get 1,000 participants, but I think it could put a dent into something like that, where you just have the allure of doing something in downtown Portland.
Yeah, there's definitely that. I mean, they do have a crit that they put it on in downtown Portland. So if they could make that happen, piggyback on that, that'd be fantastic. It just becomes a question of like, would the promoter let you do something like that? And then if you were to start an hour before, what time do they start those races?
It almost has to be like the Portland Marathon promoter themselves doing it, right?
Sure. I just don't think that a marathon running race course and a crit course
are going to coincide.
Coincide.
No, but what you'll see a lot of times with a marathon is they'll come in and they'll do some sort of tangent, and then they'll kind of finish the marathon or whatever it is, so that you get to, whatever they want to show off, the waterfront or whatever it is. Like they want to show off some little piece, and so they do like a little bit of a wrap, and then they finish. And so I think it wouldn't be the exact same course, but it could be close enough where you say like, here's the finish line. It's going to be the finish line for the marathon, but it's also going to be the finish line for this crit. And you go through it and you do whatever it is, 8 laps or whatever. And there's another side street that you have, like a connector street, right? You have to have a connector street from that finish back to the, whatever part of the marathon course. And so I don't think it would be perfect by any means, but I do think that you would have like the crit downtown, whereas the marathon, the runners are actually out there running further out on the course because they're actually all over. The marathon race doesn't do it like loops by any means. They're all the way out on the outskirts of Portland.
Well, that's not even the hardest part logistically. Like you can shut down a few city blocks on a Saturday morning. You can do that. Like you could hold a crit as we've done in downtown Vancouver. That was difficult. Kudos to Pacific Office Automation, David and Travis for putting that on. But how would you scale that up? And like I said, that's not even the hardest part. Like some of those road races down in Tucson, they had actual sections of road completely closed off.
So how
some
remote?
roads were closed in one direction.
Sure.
They had the police force involved. They had the city involved. It's a massive production.
Yeah. So first and foremost, like how remote were these roads? Were they areas where like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they let them pull this off, and there's a bazillion cars that are going to be pissed off because they can't drive through there? Or is it like more desolate out there and there's just not much going on and it wasn't a big deal in the first place?
In Tucson, you could say it was that way.
Yeah.
Back up in Phoenix, one of those roads was actually quite busy.
Yeah.
And so it was a major interruption for traffic, I think.
So
you'd have to have...
The roads itself, though, where both those road races happened, were like 20 miles out of town. Even though one was kind of busier, they were able to be kind of cordoned off, so it didn't disrupt too much stuff. But there was a police presence, and there was roads shut down just for these races. So
So you would need...
I think that's
You would need a promoter with the balls to pull it off.
Yeah.
You would need, I would think you would need a major sponsor on board to help underwrite it.
Sure.
Because
good call.
Maybe they made some money on that. I don't know. You know, it was $200 to enter these races, and what you got from it was 2 paper numbers. There was no T-shirts. There's no anything, right? I think the pro fields, there was some cash prizes.
Lame.
But it was an expensive production.
Sure.
You know, if you've got like 50 police officers, assigned to that, you're going to pay for that. Right?
I think the whole thing is kind of packed in that secret recipe of like, all right, let's take a look at the behind the scenes. How much did this cost you? What kind of a relationship did you have with the municipalities and the police force and all these other things? It's just one of those things like once you can get that information, that will tell you whether or not it's feasible here. Matt's got to get going. Matt, do you want to do one last thing real quick? If you've got videos.
One last thing. Yeah. I posted a video, I think last week I posted a video and it's a fun one. It was on Apple Watches. Why is the number 1009 shown in all their advertisements? And it's a fun video. Go check it out and find out why Apple uses 1009 for all their advertising.
One video in 3 weeks. That's all you did?
In 3 weeks. And before that, I did a really cool video, the Garmin Phoenix 8 after 100 days. That video did well. Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah. So some good stuff.
Sweet. All right, man. Well, thanks. It was good seeing you again.
Yep.
It's been a few minutes.
Yep.
I'll catch up with you soon. Yeah.
All right. Sounds
good.
See you,
bud.
Bye.
Anything else to add to Ian's question? Lance, you got anything else you want to add?
I don't. I mean, the biggest thing for me is I don't know how promoters of road races do it. I really don't. There's so many more expenses with the road race because of the roads shut down and because of the flaggers and because you have to have police and I don't know how they make it. So, I mean, unless you have a city that is really on board and really wants to, you know, help promote it, I think that's why these road races are dying. They're just so much more expensive to pull off. Why are they still working in Arizona? I don't know. Because it's February and it's freezing cold everywhere else and the weather was actually decent in February in Arizona. I don't know why these ones are, you know, being pulled off.
Yeah. I like Matt's idea of the Portland thing. I just don't see that being, I don't know, logistically possible. I just don't. I mean, there's so many roadblocks that get in the way. And I've talked to people that have tried to promote stuff there and that have promoted things there and had to stop because it just was cost prohibitive or it was just too difficult. And they just didn't really want the people doing that there anymore. So they're like, all right, well, we'll just take our race and go somewhere else or just shut it down.
I don't think you would need to have the city of Portland on board. You'd have the time trial out at Vancouver Lake.
Sure.
You'd have the criterium downtown in Camas or Vancouver. You'd have the road race out somewhere south.
Sure.
I don't know, but
I do think though that there's something to be said about finding a smaller to a medium-sized town or little city that would be open to that and wants to do something to get people out and involved in the community. And if you can put together a race that's financially feasible for you and somehow like have it built into your budget to be able to give something back to the city or something that the city wants to support, I think that would be a good win-win situation. And if you can tie in some sort of sponsorship and some nonprofit things and like help out like at-risk youth or, you know, just little things to give back to the community, I think that those cities would rally behind that. And that's where you kind of have to start. That's where you have to go, in my opinion. But I don't know. I've never done it before, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. Hepler, you got a hot seat question for us?
Nope, we're done.
Nothing, huh?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do one last thing then. Matt already went. Ian, it's your turn. Lance, you suck.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mention coming up on March 23rd is the annual Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial.
Yes, sir.
I would love everybody to sign up, especially if you're on Dial Cycling Team. Sign up to race.
Are you seeing some decent registration numbers thus far?
We're seeing some registration numbers.
All right. Well, let's start beating that drum.
We're 2 weeks away.
Yep.
But so it's going to be a fun day. It always is a great day. If you have no experience racing at all, it's a totally unintimidating environment. I think to pin on the number for the first time, if you're an experienced racer and you want to see how your winter training has been going and how fit you are, nothing tells the truth more than riding against the clock.
Exactly.
So, come on out.
Pepler, one last thing.
Usually the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial is the first race on the Ober calendar, but it got shuffled back a couple weeks. So our first 2 races happen next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday will be Echo Red to Red mountain bike race put on by Zone 5 Promotions and our friend Scott Schultz. And Sunday will be Real West Gravel in Pendleton, Oregon, which is being put on by Mudslinger Events and Mike Ripley. So 2 big events. They'll both, I think Echo will be 500 or 600 racers, and Real West will be like 300 racers. So there'll be a lot of people showing up and a lot of people throwing down.
Hey, Lance, Real West, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Gravel State Championship race?
You are correct. Yes, they have decided to make the very first gravel race on the calendar the Gravel State Championship. So that is happening next Sunday for the Ober calendar.
I'm going to probably get called a jackhole for saying this, but who the hell's idea was it to make the very first gravel race of the entire season, one of the very first races of the season, be the state championship race? That's like going to the first day of school and saying, who is the first day of school, first day of class? Oh, by the way, you've got finals today. Wait, what?
Right.
Why? Why do
those decisions are being made?
They did that with short track last year too, and if I'm not mistaken, did they do something like that too? No, they didn't do it with the mountain bike stuff, but they've done that with other disciplines. I don't get that. I don't. Am I wrong thinking that? Is that just backward thinking, or
I don't know what the rationale is exactly. I know that Mike Ripley is a favorite promoter of Obra events.
Yeah, but how many races will he put on this year?
Other event. He'll put on like 15 races this year, and probably 5 of them. I think there's 5 gravel races he has on the calendar.
Yeah,
I don't know, because it's a new race, and last year was the first year, and it actually went off really well. And so maybe that's why they decided, hey, let's make this the state championship. I don't know. Are they trying to switch up where the state champion? I don't have an answer for you, Ian. It seems weird to me too.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to bite my tongue. No comment. All right. My one last thing. I'm going to be gone. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going across the country to enjoy some spring breaking in the sunny state of Florida. I'm going to be going to Disney World with my kids and my family. So it just happens that that's my oldest daughter's spring break. She goes to school at Penn State, and it's really like, it was like for her to come home, she would just be sitting in kind of, equally weather. And so we decided as a family that we're going to go to not Arizona. I wish it was Arizona, but we're going to Florida, and we're going to be there for is it 5 or 6 days or something like that? So that should be fun. I'm just a little bit bummed though, because I'm getting all this great training rides and fitness, and the time's changing, and I wanted to go ride outside, and I don't have that anymore.
Can't you take your bike with you?
Nope. No.
I wish I could. I do think though, where we're staying, I think my wife said something like there's a clubhouse attached to the Airbnb that has some bikes in there. So I'll probably be riding on like a Recumbent or a Peloton or something stupid like that. But I guess something's better than nothing. That's it. I'm done. You guys done? Anything else? We out?
We out.
Don't miss Pandora at night in the Animal Kingdom. I just thought it was really cool. So don't
Pandora
miss that.
at night in the animal. Okay, I gotta find out if we're even going into the animal kingdom or not. I think we're only going to the park for 2 days, and then we've got a bunch of other excursions planned. So we'll see. Stay tuned. I'll report back.
Never mind.
Cool. All right. Well, again, it's good to be back here with you guys. It's good catching up. Lance, I hope you feel better, and you're gonna be getting on the road when tomorrow. You think now?
I don't know. We probably might start driving in the next 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
With you.
Okay. Well, you'll be here when I get back, and the gang will be back in town, and we'll be getting together and doing our regular podcasty thing again. So apologies for being off for a bit of time. That's never really happened before, but sometimes things happen. And gosh, we're coming up on the start of our 8th year, if you can believe that, which is bonkers. But as they say, ish happens. So, all right, we will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.
What's wrong with you?
It's either this show or indigestion. I hope it's indigestion.
Why?
It'll get better in a little while.